So, meanwhile, national security wasn't totally off the board this week. There seemed to be two islands of instability out there that looked even more unstable this week, Bob. One was Syria, where the civil war gets worse and the pressure on the U.S. to intervene gets greater, and North Korea, where God only knows what Kim Jong-un, the new young leader, is up to. But let's talk Syria for a second.
Okay.
So it does seem that there's pressure on the administration to get more involved. There may be some baby steps underway, but this is still not a president who wants to get involved in a civil war in Syria, as far as I can tell.
He definitely does not want to get involved in a civil war in Syria. He doesn't want to commit U.S. money or personnel to that conflict. But they are edging closer and closer to involvement. They are being sort of edged along by international sentiment and to some extent by domestic sentiment too. There is it's not lost on people that the UN estimates that 70,000 people have been killed in that conflict. So it's a bad situation. You can't stand by and do nothing. You can't stand by and send humanitarian aid or communications gear. And so they have been, you know, the most recent development was the disclosure that the CIA is now gotten involved in training some of the rebels. So
it was a journal story from a few days ago.
A few days ago, and you know, that sort of comes after other baby steps, as you call them, and they are baby steps.
But my assumption all along has been, and I don't think this is irrational at all, that the reason to be reluctant to get involved is it's one thing for for Saudi Arabia or even France or Britain to get involved. When the U.S. gets involved, it then owns the problem. I mean, we've seen this before, and that's
called Iraq.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an implausible consideration, I think.
What about the Russians? Are they likely to pull the rug out from under Assad anytime soon?
Well, the rug is not too firmly under Assad as far as the Russians are concerned. Now they are still supporting the regime, the government there. They are not, and they are trying to take credibility away from the rebels. But you know, it's a situation that they're getting tired of, just like the Chinese are getting a little bit.
Bob, what's the difference? I mean, why the enthusiasm to get involved in the Libyan conflict and the reticence here, when it seems in a lot of ways Assad is even worse than Gaddafi was, and he's got more of a threat with you know, chemical weapons and this sort of thing?
Well, the situation in Libya was that the people, the rebels, were able to sort of get a toehold and control a big swath of territory a lot sooner, and there was this international will to do it. The U.S. was able to get involved in that, but not in the lead position. You know, Syria is a different place. Syria is a country with a lot more defenses, and it's tougher to get in there.
So basically, the short answer is it was easier in Libya than it is in Syria.
Right. Syria's a tough.
Yeah,
It's a moral principle. This is kind of stuff they do at the Supreme Court.
But you do have the Russians there involved in a similar situation with the Assad government as you do the Chinese involved with North Korea, which is the other
Right.
Island of instability you mentioned. And
Yeah, are they really going to pick a fight with the South Koreans?
Well, so far it seems like the usual stuff that the North Koreans do, even though it sounds harsh and it sounds a little bit scary at times, but they've cut off the hotline before. They've turned their back on the armistice before. The talk about, you know, a sea of fire and ashes and so forth. We've heard that before, but we've also heard it, you know, from previous leaders. This is a new guy.